Here to react, Michael Knowles, host of the Michael Knowles Show. Michael, good to have you with us.
Abby, good to be here.
All right, you listen to the DNC, and that is the future of their party.
That is the future of their party. I think she's a good representative. The Democrats at this point are proudly ignorant and thoroughly anti-Israel, so it makes sense. This poor girl, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is not making a great first impression, and that is the lasting one. What do we know about her since her campaign hit the national stage? She is a liar. She lied about her upbringing. She pretended to be from a poor part of the Bronx and grow up there. In reality, she grew up in a ritzy part of one of the ritziest counties in the country. I know this because I grew up in the town over from her. So we know that, and now we know that she is proudly ignorant. She has this great line. She says, I don't really know a lot about this, but I firmly believe, frequently wrong but never in doubt. She uses the slogans that we've seen from Democrats now for the past 20 years. We heard in the Bush era, Bush lied, people died. He didn't. We heard no war for oil. There wasn't one. Now we hear Trump colluded with Russia. There's no evidence of that. And the myth of Israeli-occupied Palestine, which I believe is the country east of Narnia and west of Wakanda, is another example of that. Margaret Hoover in that television program scratched just below the surface, and Ocasio-Cortez had no answer. She didn't know anything. All she had learned was ideology. I think apparently Yorktown High School is not as good as we all thought it was.
So by the way,
just
Michael,
learned these.
To your point, she went to Boston University. She says she doesn't know geopolitics in that interview. She majored in international relations. So obviously this is something that she claims to know a lot about. Kudos to Margaret Hoover in that interview for simply listening and following up with, can you please expand on this? What I'm surprised by is she's done so many interviews since this big win a few weeks ago, and yet none of this has been exposed. What does this tell you about bigger picture of the Democratic Party?
Well, first of all, it tells you that the media are carrying water for them. Margaret Hoover has a very sort of stable, sober public affairs show. She's not exactly out to get her guests, but the guests expose themselves. If Ocasio-Cortez were smart, she would have locked herself in a closet until November. The election is hers, and all she's doing is hurting herself. And more broadly, what this tells us is there's a real problem with millennial education. I'm the same age as Ocasio-Cortez. I went to a school nearby in high school, and one aspect of that is in high schools, especially in New York in those days, the curricula told you, don't worry about studying facts. Don't learn names and dates and details. Just learn broader picture trends. And I think that's the ideological component that allows a committed socialist like Miss Ocasio-Cortez to spew ignorance without knowing the basis of the things she's talking about.
Yeah, well, this was certainly, I'm sure, a wake-up call. She's in the hot seat now, so you can bet a lot of other questions will be coming her way. Michael Knowles, always good to have you with us. Very early there in Los Angeles.
Good to see you, Abby.
You too.